Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Now let's go to the current news headlines from major English news channels.
Tonight, severe storms slamming the Northeast. Authorities say a boy struck by lightning in New York Central Park. A tornado warning near Philadelphia. Ground stops at airports. Flights canceled tonight. Damaging winds, lightning, and heavy rain along the I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, New York to Boston. Winds gusting more than 60 miles per hour. Hundreds of thousands without power at this hour. More than 500 flights canceled. Multiple airports issuing those ground stops. The storms and then more than 200 million Americans bracing for extreme heat. It'll feel like 105 degrees in New York City. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Also tonight, the new statement from President Trump on Iran. President Trump huddled with his national security advisors in the Situation Room for the third day in a row. His new timeline at this hour for any possible direct action against Iran. And tonight here, behind the scenes, what sources are telling Martha Raddatz, the concerns and this 30,000-pound bomb that is one U.S. option. It's been tested, but never used in war. Also tonight, here in the U.S., the explosion of the test pad. Ship 36 just blew up. A SpaceX Starship erupting into a ball of flames. The blast rattling homes miles away. What Elon Musk is saying about this tonight. Also developing the tense scene outside Dodger Stadium. Dozens of federal officers in masks and tactical gear positioned right outside the gates. The LA Dodgers tonight saying they denied the officers' entry. Protesters quickly gathering. Trevor Ault is there. Tonight you will hear from the 9-year-old girl surviving a terrifying shark attack in Florida. The surgery to reattach and save her hand. This is remarkable. Tonight, the deadly plane crash in the Northeast, a small plane going down right into a neighborhood. Dramatic body camera video showing officers racing to save a car full of people that plunged upside down into the water. And tonight, the image is seen around the world. The driver taking his car down the famous Spanish steps of Rome. It did not go well. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening. It is great to have you with us here on a very busy Thursday night. We do begin tonight with severe thunderstorms up and down the East Coast. Authorities say a boy struck by lightning.
Our own Jennifer Griffin with the latest there. Jennifer.
Good evening, Sean. Tonight, as Greg mentioned, Israeli warplanes continue bombing Iran's nuclear sites like this heavy water reactor at Arak destroyed earlier today. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command continues to reposition military assets in case the president orders a strike on Iran's main underground nuclear facility. At the largest U.S. airbase in the Middle East, new satellite photos of Al Udeid in Qatar show empty tarmacs after all unsheltered transport and refueling aircraft were moved to an undisclosed location. Preparation should Iran try to target the U.S. base. At the Pentagon, there's little doubt the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP, could destroy Iran's Fordo nuclear facility buried inside a mountain 300 feet underground. The MOP can penetrate 200 feet underground. Further, if two missiles are dropped via GPS positioning into the same hole. Retired Navy Captain Todd Sawhill oversaw the Defense Department's targeting operations, advising 5 CENTCOM commanders on weapons like the MOP.
You can use a multiple hit scenario so that you have multiple impacts on the same point. You'll create a large crater, spoil will be thrown out, and it allows a pathway for the next mission to go in even deeper and farther, so that successive hits on the same point will allow increased penetration and increased lethality.
The former deputy commander of the U.S. Global Strike Command, himself a B-2 pilot, described the challenge.
Will the environment, the weather, all the other factors that go into that, the dozens of tankers and air refuelings, all the things that are necessary to carry off this kind of complex strike, does all that fall into place, and will we achieve those desired effects?
It all comes down to the accuracy of the intelligence, Sean. The decision now rests with the president. Sean?
It does indeed. Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon tonight. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest...
Tonight, the president's new deadline over whether to bomb Iran. The new escalations. Iran striking an Israeli hospital as chaos erupts inside. Patients and staff running to get out. The ceiling torn apart. Our team reporting from the rubble. This this as Israel strikes another Iranian nuclear facility. President Trump now asserting he'll make a decision to strike Iran within 2 weeks as the conflict spirals. The small circle now advising him. Also, Starship setback, the world's biggest rocket exploding into a massive fireball. What went wrong during SpaceX ground test and how Elon Musk is reacting? Federal agents refused access to Dodger Stadium. The confusion in the parking lot. Tonight, both sides firing back. A flashpoint in the immigration showdown in Los Angeles. The shark spotted feet away from beachgoers today, and the terrifying moments for one family after a 9-year-old girl is attacked. What she remembers as first responders race to save her hand. In our series, The Cost of Denial, how this pediatric brain surgeon is taking on Goliath, her fight with an insurance company to get the money she says she's owed, and the need for speed, filmed at real Formula One races around the world. Our interview with Brad Pitt and his co-stars, how they train to drive up to 180 miles per hour. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
The president approves a plan for attacking Iran, but
we don't know that I'm going to even do it.
He now says we will know within 2 weeks. From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois.
The president has approved a plan for attacking Iran, but will he pull the trigger? We will know by the 4th of July.
The White House said today the president will decide within 2 weeks. That will allow time for any negotiations with Iran. The president believes there is still a substantial chance there will be talks.
And while we wait, the war goes on without the United States. Iran fired dozens of missiles into Israel overnight, hitting a hospital. And Israel hit nuclear sites in Iran.
As for any retaliation by Iran here in the United States, CBS News has learned that the FBI is stepping up its efforts to monitor any possible sleeper cells linked to Hezbollah, the terror group backed by Iran.
We begin this evening with Weijia Zhang at the White House. Weijia?
Well, just 3 days ago, President Trump warned everyone to evacuate Tehran immediately and rushed back to Washington from an international summit for an emergency meeting in the Situation Room. But tonight, that level of urgency seems to have faded as he gives Iran another chance.
On this Thursday night, keeping the door open to diplomacy in the Middle East. Iran can and should make a deal when President Trump could decide whether to join Israel's war against Iran, the Iranian missiles that hit an Israeli hospital, and what could happen next inside Iran. Tariff timeline, what could happen next month if Canada doesn't resolve its trade war with the U.S., spreading their wings. What the Competition Bureau says needs to happen to Canada's airline industry to benefit travelers. Plus, some positive news. The Bear finally shedding this burden after 2 years.
International with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. As Israel and Iran keep up their airstrikes on each other, the U.S. president is suggesting there is still time for a diplomatic solution. President
Good evening, I'm Amna Nawaz.
And I'm Jeff Bennett. On the News Hour tonight, Israel threatens to target Iran's supreme leader after an Iranian missile strike on a hospital in southern Israel.
We unpack more of what's in Congressional Republicans' massive budget bill, including a rollback to the Affordable Care Act.
And 2 men team up to make a grilling product entirely in the U.S., a journey that highlights the hurdles businesses face in the wake of President Trump's tariffs.
Making something in America is very, very difficult, and you almost have to go against the economic forces to try to make it happen.
Observers on France 24 and observers.france24.com.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24. Our top stories for you in the early hours this Friday. Donald Trump says he'll take 2 weeks to decide whether to join Israel in attacking Iran. The war enters its second week this Friday with no signs of the two sides backing down. European diplomats due to meet with Iran's foreign minister in Geneva. More than 20 more Palestinians killed in Gaza as they attempt to reach desperately needed aid. The Israeli army said its troops had fired warning shots at what they called suspects, but that they were not aware of any injured individuals. And another dire warning from climate scientists. According to a new report, the world only has 3 more years before it uses up its carbon budget. It means that the 1.5 degrees Celsius target set by the Paris Agreement is now almost certainly out of reach. It's good to have you with us. Also coming up, a story for French history buffs out there. Over 100 relics owned by the Emperor Napoleon are on display here in Paris before they go up for auction. They include his iconic hat as well as his divorce papers. It's 6 o'clock. Coming up on the programme today, a vote that could alter the face of British society. MPs make their decision on assisted dying. Plus, England take on India in the third cricket test at Headingley. We'll hear from Captain Ben Stokes. It's Friday, the 20th of June. There is nothing that can be done. Do you know how the assisted test? I think I know. After months of passionate debate, the assisted dying bill faces a crunch vote in the Commons today. 6 people are injured in Israel after another night of strikes. The IDF says it targeted dozens of military sites in Iran. While Russia issues a stark warning over any foreign attempt at regime change in Tehran.
Those who are speaking about that, they should give it a eye. They will open the Pandora box.
Inside the UK's top secret nuclear weapons testing facility. And more than 2 decades to redefine the genre, Danny Boyle is back with his latest zombie horror. And in sport, Rory McIlroy has endured a tough few weeks, but he equalled his best rounds on a PGA Tour at the Travellers' Championship. We'll round up the action. Very good. Thanks for joining us here at the Breakfast Show this morning.
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Paul Sui. At this hour, U.S. President Donald Trump gives diplomacy 2 weeks before deciding on a strike against Iran. European ministers are trying to coax Tehran back to negotiations amid the conflict with Israel. A Thailand-Cambodia border dispute igniting a political crisis in Bangkok. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra to visit an army commander she referred to as her opponent in a leaked phone call in a bid to prevent her government's collapse. Najib Razak discharged one of its 1MDB-linked money laundering cases, not amounting to an acquittal. He remains in jail over an earlier conviction over criminal breach of trust. U.S. President Donald Trump.
Monday, ABC and ABC iView. Today, Donald Trump says he'll decide within the next 2 weeks if the US will get directly involved in the Israel-Iran conflict. Australia suspends operations at its embassy in Tehran, ordering officials to leave due to deteriorating security conditions. Police appeal for information after a body of a woman is found on a busy Townsville street. The Victorian Liberal Party bails out John Pesutto with a $1.5 million loan to help repay defamation costs owed to colleague Maura Deeming. And SpaceX's Starship rocket explodes during testing in Texas in the latest setback to Elon Musk's rocket program. Hello, welcome to ABC News. I'm Miles. Israeli military's Northern Force jets have struck a number of targets in Iran, including military industrial sites.
Africa News. The news. Two police officers accused of shooting and wounding a street hawker were arraigned in a Nairobi court on Thursday and remanded into custody while detectives complete their investigation. The defendants, who covered their faces in the courtroom, are accused of shooting 22-year-old Boniface Kariuki on Tuesday during street protests over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang while in police custody. Kariuki's shooting has added to the growing anger against police brutality in the country.
So the two respondents will be remanded to Capital Hill Police Station for the period of 15 days.
Kariuki is believed to have been caught up in a confrontation with the two officers. Photographs show one officer who had concealed his face with a mask shooting him in the head as he walked away. Abdi Razak Mohammed is representing the two accused.
I was appearing for this matter for defendants in the matter, or rather the accused. So the prosecution were not ready. They wanted more days for investigation to be done. We agreed in consensus that investigation to be done. From then, the matter will be mentioned on Flag, which will convert to the court for the case to be resolved.
Kenya has a history of police brutality, and President William Ruto previously vowed to end it. Last year, activists and protesters were abducted and killed by Kenyan police during protests against tax hikes. The world is heating up, and faster than predicted. That's the finding of a new study. Humans are releasing so much greenhouse gas that within 3 years, planet Earth will likely be unable to avoid 1.5 degrees Celsius of long-term warming since pre-industrial times. The 1.5-degree goal established by the 2015 Paris Agreement has been a cornerstone of international efforts to curb climate change.
At 1.5 or at 2 degrees, we now expect higher risks to ecosystems, to poor populations, for tipping points to happen, and for extreme events to happen. So we expect them to happen at lower levels of warming compared to the evidence and the scientific knowledge we had at the time of the Paris Agreement.
Researchers say humans can release only 130 billion more metric tons of CO2 before the 1.5 limit becomes inevitable, and we're on track to reach that limit by early 2028.
Within 3 years, we will have emitted the remaining carbon budget for limiting warming to 1.5 degrees with at least 50% chance. So that means if we emit
nations in Gulf rising sea levels. Emancipation 2 years earlier. At Heritage Trail, New Hampshire, a week of events culminated with the rededication of an 18th century gravesite for freed slaves.
The African ground was built over, covered on, used for memory. And it's so we're gathered here during Juneteenth 2025, which is a commemoration 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was made by our then President Lincoln that freed the enslaved African and African Americans.
Juneteenth is 2021, but New Hampshire, one of the country's whitest states, is not among those that have made it a legal holiday.
Imagine the emotions they felt when they heard that document had been signed and they were free. I imagine among the things they would have felt when they found out that they heard about it 2 years late. Maybe there was some joy. There might have been some anger. I would have been a little ticked off, I think, to know if I had been free for 2 years and nobody bothered to tell me. Oh, freedom.
This year's Juneteenth celebrations come amid President Donald Trump's ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Real Madrid has been hospitalized with an acute case of gastroenteritis, his club said on Thursday. 26-year-old Mbappe missed Wednesday's opening match of the Club World Cup tournament in Miami because of a fever. Real Madrid coach Javi Alonso said he hoped the France international would be available for the club's next match on Sunday, but his hospitalization cast doubt over what part he might be able to play in the month-long tournament in the United States. Madrid said Mbappe would undergo a series of tests and follow the appropriate course of action. His absence would be a blow to the World Cup tournament, which FIFA boss Gianni Infantino is hoping will become one of football's elite events. After Lionel Messi, Mbappe is arguably the biggest star in the show, with Madrid one of the favourites to lift the trophy in the inaugural edition of the tournament. Shadows of German colonialism.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump will make a decision on joining Israel in bombing Iranian nuclear sites within 2 weeks. That's according to spokesperson Caroline Levitt. The White House also released a statement saying Trump still saw a substantial chance for negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. The latest round of major complex
with emergency services reporting that dozens of people have been injured. A leaked phone conversation between Thailand's Prime Minister and a Cambodian politician has sparked political turmoil and pushed the Thai government to the brink of collapse. Thailand's leader, Vichongtan Shinawatra, was heard discussing a long-standing Poland. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find on our website at dw.com.
Conflict in the Middle East.
Honest on where we've been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who said. That's
British to back the PM's controversial disability benefit cuts.
Well, it comes just hours before that crucial vote on the assisted dying bill that could potentially see it being thrown out.
GB News exclusive is that crunch vote on assisted dying and burial.
We were lucky to have her in our lives for almost 10 years after that. And so what I worry about this bill is it's going to end people's lives prematurely.
Charlie Peters is in Newcastle for us today, talking to victims of grooming gangs for potential criminal activity still taking place.
Yeah, we have spoken to a survivor from Newcastle. Nadine, not her real name, is speaking out because GB News can exclusively reveal that Northumbria Police is acting on intelligence of live case.
Directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
Donald Trump's press secretary confirms the president could take up to 2 weeks to decide whether the US will enter the Israel-Iran conflict.
A health warning is in place after the Met Office recorded the hottest day of the year yesterday, but how long will it last?
The heatwave peaks during the next couple of days. How hot will it be where you are, and will it all end with a bang? I'll have the details on the latest forecast coming up very soon.
But with the hot temperatures comes
Romance after his dead.
and friend wing race across the world. We'll meet Caroline and Tom Bridge to find out what they've been getting up to since the show finished.
Best than good at the rallying call from England cricket captain Ben Stokes.
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shekel 5858. I am Amir Shekel. Have a good life. Bye-bye.